that one. I have no idea.
Are we doing this physique next?
I guess we're
Can we do this physique? Yeah, here we go. Yeah. Dominating.
Chris. Pretty nutty.
Dominating.
What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So after what happened last night, Instagram is flooded with Bumstead and people are just so in love with his aura after his phenomenal performance at his men's open bodybuilding debut last night. And seeing this version of Cbum, I'm gonna say we can probably understand why Rafael Brandao chose to skip this year's Prague Pro. I'm gonna say he just dodged a bullet. Because the Rafael Brandao that we saw win this year's Romania Pro, which was last weekend, this version of Bumstead, he would have probably smoked him. But I'm gonna say the comparison itself, that would have been really interesting between both these guys, because there would have been very little height difference. And both these guys have similar kind of structure. Now I am gonna put some reactions on how some of the bodybuilding stars, some of the legends of the sport, they reacted towards this performance of Bumstead. And let's start with the legend and the uncrowned Miss Olympia, Victor Martinez, who seems to have no problem whatsoever with Bumstead winning over Martin. In fact, he literally said that Chris destroyed them all. Terrence often, after the prejudging had Cbum winning the show, and just like many of us, he was in a total shock on what just happened and how much more impressive he looked than most of us expected. Von Morel was really impressed with Chris's performance. Nathan Diasha, he also shared a similar reaction on his story. And we have to keep in mind, he is one of the guys being coached by Stefan, so he is Martin's teammate. Elliot Dermond, who has such a bright future ahead in pro bodybuilding, he was nothing but immensely impressed with Bumstead. And I have got to say an apology is due from our side to the legend Shawn Ray, because he was the first one who predicted that Bumstead will have an edge over Martin in Prague. And let's just admit that most of us thought that Shawn Ray was so wrong for that prediction.
I'm making a prediction. This is Cbum. This is Cbum's show. He's gonna win the contest.
Wow.
Fitzwater is the future. I think he's gonna wind up picking up second place, and he's gonna realize that it's not just about size. This contest, and mind you, Bumstead is bigger than him. Than Fitzwater.
But once again, he nailed it with his prediction. And yes, I know we still have finals left because this is a 2-day show. But I have got to say the damage has already been done. And it is gonna be extremely hard for Martin-Fitzwater to recover from this. Now the more I see that final comparison between Bumstead and Martin, the more I feel that Martin and his team, they weren't fully prepared. His stand wasn't that great, especially in comparison to Cbum. And he faded a lot towards the end of the prejudging. And how great of a legend Cbum is, that he was sort of an underdog going into this show. But he owned that stage like he was the champion. He had that same aura, the same confidence that he normally has in Classic. He had his trademark smirk on his face, like he has got this. And Martin was just so sure that he's gonna win this thing, that I believe even he was in total shock. So there was no handshake between him and Bumstead. While Shawn Cbum, on the other hand, he did shook hands with Cbum and also congratulated him after the prejudging. Now one of the comparison posted by Milos Sarcev, that clearly shows you how Cbum just proved that he has such unbelievable lines, that he doesn't need to be as big as some of these other guys in the men's open. In fact, I have got to say, Martin looked kinda watery next to Cbum in this video. So Jake Adler asked his fans who they have winning, and Ben Pekulski, a former Arnold Classic champion, he had the most interesting reply, clearly indicating how majority of the bodybuilding world accepted Cbum's supremacy here as a men's open bodybuilder as well. So what this is gonna do for some of the other classic physique guys who are stuck with their physiques because of the weight limit? Well, Brion's response after Prague Pro's prejudging, that gives you a clear answer. on how Cbum has just changed the entire spectrum of bodybuilding tonight, and we might see some other classic guys pursue open bodybuilding. But do let me know what you guys think. Can some of these other classic guys have same kind of success as Cbum in the men's open? Now let's take a look at what happened outside of Prague Pro. And here we have Akim Williams guest posing 2 weeks out of the Big Man Weekend Spain. So we were all assuming that Akim is gonna be doing Prague Pro because it was scheduled just 1 week after Romania Pro. But I think some of these guys, they must be feeling good for skipping this show, because it just doesn't matter how big of a star Cbum was in classic physique. A veteran of the men's open bodybuilder, he just would not like to lose to a classic physique guy. So Akim Williams looked huge, and just a week after Romania, he's maintaining a very great look. I personally thought, out of all the shows that Akim did in 2024 with Chris Zito, he looked his best at this year's Romania Pro, and he is gonna be a clear favorite to win the Big Man Weekend next month, which by the way is gonna be the last show of 2024, unless of course Martin-Fitzwater decides to do that show, which is also a possibility in case he loses to Cbum today. Now Akim Williams has been looking great all year with Chris Zito as his coach. He made his way back into the top 10, so all signs indicating that this has been a very fruitful partnership. So how do you guys think Akim would have done at this year's Prague Pro? Next up, we have a 7.5 weeks out physique update from the Legion Sports champion, Wilkin. So Brett officially hasn't announced who is gonna be his next coach, but we can assume that the coach is gonna be none other than Stefan. So Brett is taking things very slow after his win at the Legion Sports, and that made him the first guy to qualify for the Olympia next year, just like he was the first guy to qualify for the Olympia 2 years back by winning the Big Man Weekend in 2022. So what we saw at the Legion Sports, that was a very polished, but at the same time, a downsized version of Brett Wilkin. Now we have no idea whether these guys just pushed too damn hard towards the end of the prep that made Brett lose quite a lot of size and fullness, because he looked a lot bigger just a couple of weeks out of the show. So considering that he is just cruising at this point for the last 7.5 weeks, his current size along with his conditioning, that looks extremely impressive. So I think Brett is gonna slowly build back up his tempo by the end of December before he starts a real hard off-season push. I mean, you only get a one chance at your Olympia debut, and Brett is gonna make sure that he makes it count. So do you guys realize that Prague could have been a much bigger show if Michael Cristo did not get injured, if Bill Mosquera stuck to his words, and you kinda feel bad for Michael, who was in the building, and he would have loved to compete here. Rubiel did not get on the stage. However, we did saw him taking his shirt off, posing for his sponsors, and also for the crowd and his fans. I think Rubiel looked pretty much the same here, as he did for most part of the year. He is undoubtedly really massive, very huge, but he needs to have that strong mindset to finish a prep at a high note. But again, I have got to say none of it would have mattered if Cbum ends up beating Martin today. Then these guys also stood no chance against Cbum, because Martin is just way too complete for either of these two guys. But it could have been a real fun if Cbum stood next to the likes of Michael Cristo and Rubiel. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.